data points that you're looking at depending on positionally, and then you kind of roll it together based on, hey, we get this guy, and here's what fits with this guy, then we get the second guy, and this fits with these two, and then you kind of get it rolling downhill from there.
Can you talk a little bit, there's new challenges this year as well for plays. Can you talk about how your feelings are about that and how impactful that might be for your program?
Challenges from
Yeah,
what?
so you can challenge like how.
Oh, the challenge plays, yeah. I mean, look, I think it's a great change. I think anything, that's gives the coaches a little bit more, jurisdiction over a few things. I think is good, and so we certainly spent time as a staff talking about it and how to best challenge and how to best use our time, how to best use our challenges, and so we're excited to see how it goes, but I think it'll be a good process.
And then my last one, what do you think the biggest impact from you guys all being together at Root Peanut was in the team this year?
I think you get some camaraderie with the team. I think our communication gets better. Just build some bonds. Look, we were at a place, there's no cell phone service. You're in a cabin with everybody else, so you're in close quarters. And I just think there's some bonds that can be built over that time, but you can't do elsewhere.
Well, there's an unprecedented influx of international flavor in this league this season. I think there's more than 20 former overseas pros who have come to the ACC. Is this a trend that's going to continue?
I think so. Look at the new rules.
Yeah,
You used to couldn't give a guy a donut. Now you can go pay their buyout. I think that certainly the schools you're familiar with, Virginia's got some really good ones. Virginia Tech's got a great one. And so I think that, look, it's just opened up a new market. And those kids, before, a lot of those kids didn't necessarily want to come over here because you couldn't make money, or you couldn't make as much money as you were making over there. Two, you had the amateurism issues. Now everybody's eligible. You signed that you played professionally you had to play professionally to play for your national team. When you play for your national team, you automatically get a year of eligibility. Everybody can get a year. Everybody can get a year now that's a pro over there. So I think it's opened up new markets. And look, when you've got a lot of schools like ours are that are academically oriented, a lot of times those international kids are pretty good students. They're really good students. You can get them in school. They're very appreciative of the opportunity to be here. I think they have a level of appreciation of the opportunity to be in the United States, opportunity to be in college that maybe some of our Americans don't always have. So I think that they're really good ads for most teams, and I don't see the trend stopping as long as the rules and everything stays as they are.
How different is the international game to the American game? And how quickly do you anticipate internationals being able to adjust to the college?
Yeah, I think they'll adjust. I think it's harder to adjust from the college game to the international game. I was over at a Euro Cup game last month. I was sitting on the floor at the floor seats. If you look at the physicality in that game, Valanciunas was playing, who's in the NBA, and he's playing his high school kids. If you look at the physicality in that game, there's not 10 high school kids that can play in that game, much less maybe 5 that can play and make an impact. And then, so I think that, and there was former ACC players in the game. There's a former SEC player in the game. Those guys, I think, have a harder time adjusting to the international game than the internationals do to the American game.
Coach, you've got 2 transfers specifically in Terrence and Trey that come from some really successful programs. What was it about those 2 guys that maybe made you go out and target them the way that you did? And also, what have you seen from them early on that maybe have or have not surprised you? That
I think winning's a habit. We have 6 guys on our team that won NCAA tournament games last year. Terrence obviously played in the national championship. Trey played in the Elite 8. Darian, who's here with us, played in the Elite 8. And so I think Terrence is a disruptor defensively. His offensive game's better than he's been able to show, and I think he's going to be able to show that for us. And Trey's somebody that was a captain at Michigan State. He's a leader. He's tough. Get in your face. He's gritty. Grimy, kind of like we like it. And so I think he's somebody that brings an edge to our team. and is somebody that fans are going to like, and probably the rest of the league won't like so much.
Is there a particular guy on this team? Because you have, at least just in my own personal opinion, a very, I guess, just interesting, just personality and the way that you kind of get after it, and not afraid to, you don't bite your tongue. You speak out how you feel that it is. Is there someone on this team that has kind of embraced and just kind of have a very similar personality and mentality when they take the floor?
Yeah, man, I think we got a lot of guys like that. I think Holloman's like that. I think Copeland's like that. I think those two are for sure like that. It's what you want to want. I mean, as a coach, you recruit guys that fit your personality. Sometimes you got to ask yourself in recruiting, would I rather play against this guy twice a year or be with this guy every day? You want to take the guys you're going to be with every day, and you let loose the ones you don't worry about playing against twice a year. And so I think that I think Copeland and Holloman for sure have that edge to them that I like.
You didn't have a lot of time between when the league announced it was pivoting from 20 to 18 games to then reset your non-conference schedule. What are the games that you ended up adding because of that decision? What was your thinking that went into that?
Yeah, I think the league did a great job going from 20 to 18 games. I think it was a very smart move. Now, we had a little bit of a heads up that it was heading that way. So it wasn't like when it got announced that was official, but we had a pretty good heads up that it was heading towards 18 games. We added the Ole Miss game in Greensboro. I felt like what really changed for us is I wasn't anticipating our two permanent opponents. Our two permanent opponents are Wake and Virginia. I thought we'd maybe have a different permanent opponent. I'm not going to say who, but I thought we'd maybe have a different permanent opponent. And so when that happened, it changed the arithmetic on some quad 1 and quad 2 games. And so we had to go get another game. So with our extra game, we started the neutral with Ole Miss, and then we bought a high end. We bought UAB. So we bought a really good American team with our two neutral.
And does that delve into your thinking with scheduling? Is if you're going to play Vikings, make sure they're
You want to play teams that are going to win,
Yeah.
win a bunch of games. Whether that's you want to play teams that are going to win tons of games in their league because that's going to help their net, which in turn helps your net a little bit.
Will, you can see the defensive versatility on this roster on paper. How has that translated in practice and what you've seen so far?
It's been great. I mean, we got 7 guys, 7 foot plus wingspan. I think we should have a top 10 or 15 defense in the country. Our biggest issue is going to be defensive rebounding. We're going to get stops. It's can we get the ball after we get the stop? But I feel good about the group we have defensively.
2 weeks ago, at the first day of practice in Raleigh, you told us that your team's better than you thought after going through some workouts. Now that you've gone through 2 weeks of practice, do you still feel that way?
Yeah, we're good. We got a good team. We're going to win a lot of games. We got a good team.
Who's the most underrated player on this roster? Do you think?
Oh, not underrated. I mean, I think Paul McNeil's been really good. I mean, so he averaged 4 points a game last year, so probably doesn't jump off the radar of many people. Averaging 4 points a game, but he's a really good player. He's going to score 4 points by the first medium, but he's a really good player, really talented player, and I think he'll have a good year for us.
What's the biggest shift you've noticed in him from earlier in the preseason to where you guys are now?
Just taking everything, I don't want to say didn't take it seriously before, but taking everything very seriously, understanding what it means to be successful, to put yourself in position to be successful. I think that the consistency of that is something that maybe he's been missing.
Coach, you got an interesting schedule ahead of you. Obviously, you're going to Hawaii. I'm sure you're excited about that. And Kansas is usually one of the better teams in the country. But obviously, you have VCU. I'm not sure. Have you played VCU since you?
Yeah, we went up there and got our ass whipped at LSU.
Okay, gotcha. Just your overall thoughts on maybe being able to get a little bit of get back against them, but obviously with a new team.
Well, I mean, look, the VCU game's a great game. They're going to be a quad 1 game, quad 2 game. They got a great program. So we thought it'd be smart to schedule them at home. And so. It's going to be a really tough game. They're picked to win the Atlantic 10, so they've got really good players. Coach Martelli will do a great job, So that'll be a big game. You know, Hawaii, Maui's one of the best tournaments. You know, the inside of a hotel ballroom looks the same in Maui or anywhere else you are. So I don't know how much we'll see of everything else, but it's a cool tournament. And it's be the second time I've taken a team out there. We were at LSU, and so it's a cool event and a great event. And then you know the Kansas game at home will certainly be a big game. There's all the fans are looking forward to it. You don't get quality non-conference games like that very often, so it'll be exciting.
What are the vibes you get from fans when we've talked about you being very blunt? You say exactly what's on your mind. You talk about the reckoning and that kind of thing. This is a fan base that's very proud, wants a winner. I would imagine that the vibes you've been getting from them is they like you talking like this.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not for everybody. You know, look, I mean, I get to the office before the sun comes up, and I leave after the sun goes down, so I don't have a ton of I mean, look, I have interactions when we're like at the football game, but I mean, everybody there is drunk and happy, right? So, I mean, of course they're gonna say good stuff. So, I mean, you know, I guess, you know, I think everybody's excited, but we got good reason to be excited. We got a good team. We got a commitment from everybody that it's time to win. And, you know, I mean, we got a lot of work to do. I mean, damn, the ACC can't even get our best players picture right. You think that would happen to Duke or Carolina? Could you imagine if Duke or Carolina's first team All ACC player, first team All American didn't have their picture right? We got a lot of work to do at NC State to kind of work our way up here. We obviously don't have a lot of respect.
Coach,
Damn shame.
Coach, you talked about that commitment and how everybody's kind of singing 1-2. How important is it to win year one compared to if it was year 3 or 4 for you year ago?
I mean, it's important to win every year. We win year one, they're going to expect us to win year two. We win year two, they're going to expect us to win year three. I mean, every year it's important to win. But I do think, you know, to your point, Charlie, I think there's, you know, you want to get the wind behind your sails. You don't want to be sailing against the wind. You want to get the wind behind your sails and get moving. And so I think that winning in year one will be good, and we're going to win. So I think we'll get off to we'll be able to get off to a good start. And we're excited about that. But once we win in year one, it's not like they're like, all right, Pac won in year one. Let's give them a pass for year two. It's gonna be no. Let's go win in year two. Then every win in year two is gonna be let's go win in year three. I mean that's just the way it works.
How did being a student manager just shape the way you are as a coach?
I think as a student manager, we got great student managers at NC State. But I think you learn to wear a lot of hats. You kind of look at things differently. That's why I always have good former players on my staff, Berman and Adam, and those guys, because I need their perspective. JoJo was a good player, so I need those guys. I need those guys' perspective on things, and I think that just gives you a different perspective on things.
I was talking to Kyle Smith a little bit yesterday about just coaching in the Ivy League. Is there something about that league that sort of produces Power 5, Power 4 coaches?
Kyle's a good coach because he won at Columbia. And I don't know if you know how hard it is to win at Columbia, but I think the only job in the Ivy League that's harder than Columbia is probably Dartmouth. Just because Dartmouth's Columbia and the Woods in New Hampshire. At least Columbia's in Harlem, New York. So, I mean, look, I think the Ivy League's a great league. I was actually texting with Coach Amaker a couple of weeks ago at Harvard. I think they're going to have a great team. I mean, you just hope that with the way basketball is now, that the Ivies don't just, because they've got different policies. So just hope that they don't just go away. But it's a tremendous league. I mean, it's a coaches' league. You got to turn around quick Friday, Saturday. I don't know if you've ever made that bus ride on Friday night between Cornell and Columbia, but it's a long ride and it ain't fun. And you're not on sleeper buses. So I mean, it's a bear of a league, and a lot of really good coaches, and really good programs. Everybody in the Ivy League is now invested in basketball. It used to just be Penn and Princeton. They had their hold on it. And Cornell and Steve Donahue showed, hey, we can win in basketball too. And then Harvard got in. Now Yale's going all in. And now everybody's decided they want to be good in basketball. So it's made it a really competitive league.
You have a handful of players who are having new roles this year. You're asking them to do more. I'm sure they came here because they wanted to do more. What is that like with Trey or with Terrence or with even Lucy to a certain extent?
I'm asking them to do more. I don't agree with that. I don't think I'm asking them to do more. I think they've they've done what we've asked them to do in spurts. They haven't done it consistently or haven't been given the opportunity to do it consistently. Darian's done what we're asking him to do at the NCAA tournament. He's done what we asked him to do when they had problems in Houston, when they had the kid get ejected for the elbow. He's done it. He showed he could do it, but he hasn't done it for a whole season. So we're asking them to extrapolate out and do for longer stretches of time what they've showed we can do. It's not like we're hoping that they're going to be able to do this. They've shown they've been able to do it. Trey had a higher usage rate last year. He had a lower usage rate his sophomore year, but he had better numbers. So we're hoping he can adjust to the higher usage rate that he had his junior year with the numbers back from his sophomore year, which is so far what he's done for us through practice. Terrence was a starter for Houston up until the Arizona trip, and you could argue that he won the Arizona game in the last couple of minutes, and they started somebody else at Arizona State, and that changed some of the dynamic of their team. I mean, he was a starter on a Final Four team for half the season, and a good player. So I don't think that we're asking them to do new roles. We're asking them to do roles that they've had for a longer period of time than they've been asked to do.
So we love your stats. How, say for 3-point percentage, how does that translate to games?
Well, the practice,
Seen in
so
the past.
typically in normal shooting, you could take off 11 to 12% just shooting with no defense, but I'm only giving the stats for guarded in game threes. So those shouldn't be off much at all.
You always wear those.
It should be straight.
You always wear those wristbands. Just wanted to know what they just meant to you.
Oh, the wristbands?
Yeah.
So the first one is Wade Sims, a player at LSU who was murdered. He was murdered in 2018, the day before practice started, the year we won the SEC. Just great kid. Worst day of my coaching. Everybody always says, "Man, coach, it must have sucked to get fired." No, it sucks to watch a kid you care about, carried into the morgue out of the hospital at 3:45 in the morning. The battle. That's no fun. So just remember him. His father since passed. He wore number 44 as well. His father passed of a heart attack a couple of years ago. His mom, Faye, she's still going strong. She'll support the Pack. She'll come to a few games. She's a great lady. Rock solid. And then the other one's a Breathe bracelet. We do meditation, breathing exercises. Just reminds me to calm down. The last one's Be Better, Be Different. From a consultant, Phil Beckner, that we use. He was with us actually a couple weeks ago. He's an NBA trainer. Basically says the best at what they do are either better than everybody, just straight out talent, or they do things differently and have different ways to do things. So it's just a reminder that if we want to be the best, obviously we have good talent, but we got to look at things differently and do things differently.
How often would you say you kind of look down at those? It seems like you intentionally wear them every day.
Yeah, I've worn them for years.
Yeah.
I've just kind of added to them. But I think that, Wade was a kid who really turned the corner and changed his life, and I was really, really proud of him. And it's just, sometimes you look up at the clock and there's a minute 44 seconds left. You just have a piece about you that, man, we're gonna figure this thing out. It's just a subtle reminder of how quickly things can change. Love your players, pour into your players. It was the day before practice. He was at a concert. He was protecting his friend. They were shooting at his friend. They were shooting at him. Went right through his head. And, just reminds me, love your guys every day. Make sure you never know when the last time you'll see them. And it's a good reminder sometimes.
That's kind of been the early reports of the players. It's not what you've done on the court, but it's kind of what you've done off the court, what you know about some of the players that you have this year's lives. Is that kind of your message or your motto when you're trying to recruit players in, or on a daily basis when you talk to them? Is it more of a having a relationship with them off the court, or is it more just trying to get them coached on the court?
No, it's just you want to have relationships with them. You're with them all the time. You want them to move forward. I feel like if we move them forward off the court, they'll move forward on the court. We spend a lot of time with our guys. Our staff's young. A couple of our guys are having some of the players over for dinner tonight while we're gone. I'm taking these two to dinner before we fly back. So you want to spend as much time. I want to give them a great experience. I don't ever want them to leave NC State or play for us and just say, man, he got me better at basketball. So I want them to know how to manage money. I want them to know how to, I tell them, like, a lot of you guys are good enough to make the NBA. We want to make you great enough to stay. And the difference between being good enough to make it, great enough to stay. We will make great enough to stay. That encompasses a lot of stuff that doesn't just deal with basketball. And so we invested in it. I enjoy that part of it. That's a fun part of it. It's tough love, but at the end of the day, they know we care for them. They know they need us. They always call us. They see our former players coming back through all the time. We've had players from almost every school I've been at. We've had players come back through our facility, and so we're fiercely loyal. We'll do what we say we're going to do. We try to stick to that. Last thing I want to be known as is a fraud. You may not like what we do, you may not like who I am, but we're not fraudulent. We're going to do what we say we're going to do. We are who we say we are.
You said it was intentional, but you brought on players who played for some great coaches in Bayheim, Kelvin Sampson, Tom Izzo. Do you ever talk to them about, what did this coach do or what did that coach do? Because obviously you've got winning backgrounds with your players. They all won at their previous schools.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. They're great coaches. And so, Q played for Bayheim first year, Oxford second year. Q's experience was a little different there, so I'm not sure how much is going to translate. But certainly, like, I've known the Sampsons for a long time. Kelvin's son, coach of Wading, is a good friend of mine. So, we talk frequently anyway, whether it's about, whatever it may be about. We're talking trade ideas, talking hoops, but certainly you ask their opinion on things. Trey's, I've asked Trey some things. Hey, what do you do here? What do you think about this? How's this different? What do we do this? So you get their feel on certain things, especially areas where those programs are really, really good. If you think there's a shortcoming in your program and they can help you, those guys are great coaches and certainly know.
This has been Allen's fourth school. Have you seen him make this transition easier, knowing that he's done it before, kind of joining a new program?
And I think Vin gets a bad rap. Everybody acts like, it's his fourth school. Well, his coach, Mike Bray, left Notre Dame. His coach at Vanderbilt, he'd still be at Vanderbilt today. Jerry Stackhouse was still here. And then his last school wasn't used properly, so he left. So I mean, it wasn't like two of them were coaching changes.
Yeah.
I think if you talk to him today, he'd still be at Notre Dame or Vanderbilt today, probably. He's one of the finest human beings I've ever coached. He needs none of my help. He can help our players. He needs zero help from me. He's the most mature, ready person I've ever. I mean, he's engaged. He's so far ahead of most guys. He's like he's 35 years old. He moves like he's 25. But no, he's so I mean he's somebody that's been rock solid for us. And quite frankly, I mean, he's one of our most valuable guys. Kind of like Noah's Ark. We got two of a lot of everything. We ain't got but one of him. We got 2 point guards. We got 2 shooting guards. We got 2 wings. We got 2 foremen. Like, we can move guys around. We ain't got but one of him. So we need him to be healthy. We need him to be right. He's we can make up for a lot of stuff in some of them other spots. There's only one of him on the boat, so we need him.
We've been waiting for this season for a long time. Seeing all of the ACC branding and being here kind of make everything feel real.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I care about NC State. Like, the ACC is great. I think the ACC showed us today what they think of us. So they're not real fond of us or don't pay much attention to detail at NC State. So I think we've got a clear picture today of where we stand in this thing, especially where we stand in our area. So I'm worried about NC State. We're going to worry about NC State. We're going to make NC State the best we can be. And hopefully, if we do a great job this year, maybe they'll know who we are next year at the ACC.
Nice. Basketball became a thing in your life, and you made the decision this is the course you wanted your life to take.
I think, look, my mom was a principal, mom was a coach. My degree is secondary education, history and geography. I was going to be a high school history teacher. My student taught. And then the guy I worked for as a manager was like, hey, this student teach. I'm going to be a teacher. Let me at least get you a graduate degree. You make $50, graduate degree. And he kept me on as a GA, and I kind of never left. It goes back to your original question, Noah. Or I think it was Charlie asked. But at my core, I'm a teacher. My core I hadn't lost. Being a high school teacher and be a high school history teacher was to impact kids' lives. I thought you could impact kids' lives in high school. Well, you can do the same thing in college. I just didn't know it at the time. So I've kind of taken that same approach as we move into college.
How often do you refer to history when you're talking to your players?
Oh, they get so sick of my analogies and history lessons and questions, and then chiding them because they don't know history and they don't know something I think they should know. So they get very irritated. They get very irritated.
I got to get into the